Reddit asks, what is the most Karen thing a Karen has even done to you, personally? When I worked at the Home Depot, a Karen told me that she didn't want any black men to install her flooring. I was in charge of arranging her order and told her that we don't select which individuals exactly will install her floor and that she'll get who she gets. She proceeds to have a fit about it, demands white installers, asks to speak to my manager. I'm so glad she did, because my manager's name was Dwayne, and he was a real big black dude. Turns out she didn't want to speak to the manager. Left her card in the FPAS machine at the McDonald's I was managing as a teenager, rang me to say I needed to drive it out to her, that I ruined her night, ruined her family's night, owed her free food, and that she'll be laying a formal complaint. When I refused all of the above, she showed up 3/4 of an hour later with steam blowing out her ears asking for her card back. Last we heard from her. I don't understand what people expect to happen when they threaten a formal complaint for things like this. This isn't 1970 anymore. Most places aren't mom and pop shops anymore. The CEOs and corporate overlords don't GAF about European problems, and they can certainly do without the business of one person in millions, or, in the case of McDonald's, literally the entire damn planet. Edit. Much wiser Redditors have pointed out that big corporations care way more about complaints and customer satisfaction than I previously thought. I stand corrected. Perhaps this is why so many Karens have been created. Who knows? That I needed to leave the gym because I made her son feel like only fat people go to the gym. Your son is in shitty shape because you feed him garbage, Karen. Actually, the weird thing was that he was like fit, but his mom was just being a bitch. Blew up at me for ignoring her son, who was trying to hit on me by saying konnichiwa and calling me kawaii. I had never met him before, and I'm not Japanese. She called me a stuck-up racist and insinuated that I should be glad he was worldly enough to speak Asian to me. I just responded sorry, no English. They had previously heard me speaking English with my friend, I'm pretty sure, and walked away. When I worked at a bakery, Karen bought a chocolate cupcake and ate half of it. Karen then asked if she could return her half-eaten chocolate cupcake, not because she didn't like it, but because she wanted to exchange it for half of a vanilla cupcake, something less decadent. Like most bakeries, we did not sell cupcakes by the half. She became offended when I asked if she wanted to purchase a vanilla cupcake. Her disdain for common sense and critical thinking is impressive. Doctor here. I used to work in a public night shift service, kinda like an emergency room but for non-emergencies, to keep the hospitals clear of white codes, so anything from a fever to a sore throat, to prescriptions for urgent treatments, and a Karen walks in at 3 AM asking for a prescription for hypertension drugs, which isn't unusual, as old people, more often than not. But she looked 55, sometimes don't notice they are running low. Anyway, the law, not a rule, not my decision, the law, states that this service can only write prescriptions for potentially life-threatening conditions, drugs for a maximum of 72 hours coverage. So if you take one pill a day, I can only prescribe you a single blister. Here we don't have bottles, but blisters. And while I'm writing the prescription, Karen casually mentioned that she was insomniac, and while cleaning the medicine cabinet she realized she was down to her last full blister. My pen stops. I ask her to repeat, full blister? Yeah, so I take the prescription, tear it in half, then again, then I throw it in the bin, explaining her the law. She gets mad, starts yelling and threatened to call the cops. Go ahead. Cops came, and she triumphantly announced that I'm refusing to treat her. I explain the situation, and they ask her if it's true that she has a full blister, and she, of course, being a Karen who is always right no matter what, confirms it. The cops look at her, still with a look of triumph, waiting for them to arrest me, then at me, then ask her politely to leave, as I'm in the right. She's livid. The day after, my boss called me and cracked up cause she went there during the day to talk to the manager, and she, my boss, told her the exact same thing. Never saw her again in there, weirdly enough. I imagine a thread full of doctors' customer service complaints would be very entertaining and or demoralizing for a lot of people. I deliver appliances for Best Buy. We had a woman call and complain that her fridge was not pre-cooled before it was delivered and that she had to wait for it to come down to temp. No one in the office was prepared for that one. Worked at a grocery store and a coworker put a 99-cent sticker on my shirt. We were 2 of maybe 5 employees, so we were all good friends and everything is funny when you got a pastime on a shift. So I just left it there. Some woman came through my line and asked me why I had a sticker on my shirt and I just kinda laughed it off. She asked if I thought it was funny and I was like not really, but sorta. She asked if my coworker put it there, to which I responded yes. She told me she was going to speak to the store owner cause it was disrespectful to behave that way at work. She told me to call my manager and I did, but he was a super cool guy and knew this lady was a fucking idiot. She talked to the store owner and my manager about firing me to no avail. She accomplished nothing and was a piece of crap. The end. I'm laughing pretty hard at the idea of some more being so offended about a sticker being where it shouldn't be that someone should lose their job over it. When I was working retail, this one woman had a big bag of coupons. Most of them were unusable because either they were expired or they were duplicates. She berated me because the system was rejecting most of the coupons. She called me stupid amongst other names, telling me I just wasn't doing it right. Then, as a typical Karen would, she asked to speak with my manager. My manager came and asked what the problem was. The woman ranted about how incompetent I was because I didn't know how to scan a coupon. My manager looked at the coupons and the coupons were the problem, not me. My manager bitched out the customer for being disrespectful for me and told the customer to leave the store. I hated working there, but I'm so grateful that I had managers that totally didn't go by the customer is always right rule and weren't afraid to stand up for their employees. That was just one of many incidents. When I worked at a popular arcade chain, I had a Karen absolutely berating me because I wouldn't give her kid a prize they didn't win. So she wants a manager, and when my manager comes over she straight-faced this bitch's whole rant until Karen goes, "Whatever happened to the customer's always right?" And my manager leans in a little and goes, "We don't have customers here, we have guests. Customers always right, guests are usually wrong. Goodbye," and waved a security guard over to escort Karen out. Best day of work ever. Was at the park with my daughter. She was 3 at the time. Her and a couple other kids started to play together. Then she attempted to use the monkey bars. She's a very adventurous child. About midway through, she fell. I didn't do anything because she's fallen before and I want her to learn to get back up on her own and not be scared to try again. Anyway, one of the boys was about to get on the monkey bars too until I heard a woman run toward him screaming to stop. She picked him up and looked at my daughter. Told her it wasn't smart of her to go on the monkey bars if she wasn't fully ready because then others might get that same idea. That's when I got up and went to my daughter's defense. Sternly told the woman to not speak to her that way and it's no fault of hers that she wasn't scared to try something new. She took her kid and left. Damn, that's a good point. I didn't think of it like that. Being adventurous is good and Karen was attacking that. I hope I can be good parent like you. Came up to my register and asked for the price of a protein bar. Every item in the store had a physical price tag because we didn't have scanners at the register. I took it from her, flipped it over, and let her know it was $2.49 before tax. She asked me how much the case would be. Normally we did discounts for cases, but they had to be ordered ahead of time. So I started explaining we couldn't do a discount unless. She cut me off aggressively and hissed I didn't ask for a discount. So I typed in $2.49 x 12, added tax, and told her the final price. She stared me down for a few minutes before asking me to get my manager. Once my manager arrived, she spent literally 10 minutes tearing into me, describing me as the least helpful person ever, talking about my bad attitude, complaining about how awful and rude I was, etc, etc, etc. I was working nearly full time, 35.5 hours per week, and commuting to a school over an hour away 4 days a week. This lady took the time out of her day to break me down to the point I started crying. Thanks, Karen. I still remember you. Hope you enjoyed your fucking protein bar. I used to work at a fast food in a theme park when I was 18. Karen held up the line cause she was demanding us to assemble a food for her daughter, which we aren't allowed to do cause we go by a menu. My daughter can't have that. Well, what can you do for me? Do you want her to starve? Are one of the most irritating lines I ever encountered. That's all for this video. You made it to the end. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing so you see the next videos. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.